I need your help picking my new, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have you. I'm gonna have you help me choose my next car. So what type of guy are you? Are you a watch guy, you a clothes guy, you a house guy, or are you a car guy? All right, it seems like cars are one of those things that as dudes, right, gets our engines revving, right? We love cars. Well, for me, I have never been a huge car guy. I've had some nice cars, and the one that I currently have, I really like, but I honestly am kind of over cars, if I'm being honest, right? The car that I currently drive is this. It's the BMW X6, and it was actually rated as one of the best mom cars of like 2022 when I actually got it. And so the big joke was that I'm driving a mom car. Honestly, it's a great car. The base price on this was like $65,000 when I got it 2 years ago. But recently, I started to look for a new car because I realized that my lease was about up. Now, in terms of like leasing versus buying, anyway, to lease or purchase, that's a whole nother conversation, right? A lot of people feel very differently, and recently I've actually started to feel differently because I've leased my last 3 cars through my business. Anyway, let me back up for a second. My car situation has always been a little bit weird, right? So I did not have a car when I was growing up in high school, all right? We just didn't have one. I couldn't afford it. The first car that I got, I paid for. It was a Honda, it was a hatchback Honda Accord 1983. I bought it my second year in college. I worked all summer, I saved up, and it was like $1,200, and I loved that car. It was badass, it was stick shift, it was amazing. It was my car. And then it broke down, it basically was out of commission, and so I ended up getting from my uncle a teal green Mercury Topaz, all right? That bad boy was not sexy, but it was a car, it functioned, it had like automatic like windows like up and down, it had automatic locks, it was amazing, right? I loved that car, but it wasn't like, it didn't feel like super like sexy or manly. And so I had that car, I moved to Atlanta, and then I guess it was, when was it? I don't know, probably like, I don't know, 1990, I forget what year it was. Anyway, I ended up deciding to buy like my first like big boy like new car, and it was a Toyota RAV4. It was silver, and I loved that car. It was an incredible car. I had that for years and years and years. I paid it off. The RAV4 was sexy. I'm telling you, I love that car. And so I had that for a long time, and then when I started my image consulting business, I felt like I needed a nicer car if I was gonna be driving around like clients, and so I ended up getting the Infiniti G35, and at the time, that car was crazy nice. The other reason why that car had like a little bit of sentimental value for me is because that was like my first like big purchase after my bankruptcy that did not require like anybody else's help, right? When I went to the dealership to get it, the car was, I think it was like $34,000, and it was expensive. You want to see my wife's car? This is my wife's car, Range Rover. Looks good, sexy. Problem is it's a Range Rover. We had one before this. It was a Range Rover Velar. I had so many problems with it. It was horrible. It was always in the shop. And I told my wife, I'm like, I'm never getting another Range Rover. And then I said, what kind of car do you want to get now? And she said, I want a Range Rover. And so whatever. So yeah, so this one actually has been good. So anyway, let me actually go inside to tell you the story. Let's go sit down. This is my office. You guys have seen it probably in other videos. I love this office. I love the fireplace. I love my cat. That's Frank. I just love it. It's very comfortable. It's got nice like high ceilings, like 11-foot ceilings. And then that painting is actually one of my prized possessions. It's by an artist named Susan Easton Burns. And I saw this painting at a local art gallery called DK Gallery, and I saw it, and there was something about it that I just absolutely loved. My wife loved it, and we ended up grabbing it. That was like kind of like my first like expensive like art do you want me to talk about art? You want me to talk about art? Because that is something that I am into. I love art. I've got a lot of art, not a lot, but like actually, it's significant to me. I love art. I think art is one of those things that when you put something on your wall, and it doesn't have to be like expensive or original, it can just be like a picture, like a photo, right? When you see something that just like hits and resonates with you, it's amazing. And then you put it on the wall and you get to see it every single day. Anyway, it's something that I will spend a little bit of money on. Not crazy amounts or anything like that, but I do have a little bit of an art collection, so if you want to hear and see that, I'd be happy to share with you. I'll also tell you how much I spent on the various pieces. Anyway, back to that G35. So when I got that, when I went to the dealership, I went and I was like, okay, here we go. It was after my bankruptcy. I started to like rebuild my credit. It had been probably, I don't know, 6 months, a year after my bankruptcy. Now it had to have been, yeah, it was at least a year after my bankruptcy. So I go to the dealership and they said to me, well, once they like ran my credit and everything, they're like, well, do you think your girlfriend, were we married yet? Yeah, we were married. Will your wife co-sign for you? And I said no. And it was one of those things where it's like, if I can't buy this myself, I am not going to go burden my wife and make her or ask her to do that. It was like, this is kind of like the first thing that I need to like really do as like a man after that situation. And there was no way. But they ended up doing the loan. I ended up paying like high interest on it, I'm sure. And anyway, I love that car. And it was very like, it was a great car. It was sexy when it first came out. It was amazing. And I had it for years. So I ended up giving the G35 to my mom and my stepfather for them to have a more reliable car. And at that point, I'm like, okay, what am I gonna buy? And so I went to the BMW dealership just because I'd always kind of like, I don't know, I just always like liked BMWs. My uncle, who was an architect, he drove BMWs, and so they always kind of just had this like sentimental place for me. It felt like it was like success, right? I've never been like a supercar guy or anything like that. And so I go there and I start looking. And this is right when I was starting to make like some really good money, right? And it was probably, I don't know how many years ago. It was probably like, let me think. I was in that for like 3 and then 2.5, 5, 6. It was probably like 7 years ago when, 6 or 7 years ago when I ended up going and I bought a M4, a BMW M4. I go to the BMW dealership, I'm looking around and there was this black M4 that was like sitting there and I was like, damn, that's sexy, right? And it was the first time that I really kind of felt like my ego pulling me towards a car, as opposed to just like a 3 Series, which is what I planned on going in to buy, right? And so I saw that M4 and I was like, oh, it's sexy. And so I bought it. And I also, something else about me, I drive literally like an old lady. I am slow, I don't speed, I don't drive fast. I literally am like a little old lady, right? So anyway, I get this car, and at first I'm like, my God, right? And I'm all like, it's loud and aggressive, and I thought it was just awesome. And the novelty kind of wore off. I'm like, this kind of sucks. It's kind of stiff. I'm not really comfortable, and it's kind of lost on me. Long story short, I leased that. I end up going to the dealership to get a new car. And at that point, I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do? Because once again, my ego, right? That was the thing that I was struggling with. My ego felt like I couldn't go like down or backwards. I felt like I kept having to like get a nicer car and a nicer car and a more expensive car. That's my ego, right? And this is one of the dangerous things that is very difficult to fight, but I'm just telling you my reality. And so I felt like it said something about me. And I know this is totally stupid, right? And so I end up buying or leasing an M850i, which was, it was a really expensive car. It was like long, it was gray. I did a video talking about it, and it was sexy. It was a great car. It looked great, and it was more of like a casual like driver. It was a little bit more like longer wheelbase, so it was more like just like cruisy, right? And so I liked it. I didn't love it, honestly. And this was right when like COVID was going on. And so literally I have this car. I'm not really driving anywhere. It was like $130,000. And so my lease payment was like over $2,000. And I'm just sitting there thinking, I'm an idiot. I'm such an idiot. Why did I buy this expensive ass car? I don't even like it that much. Like, it's a pretty car and all that, but like, seriously. And I'm like, all right, I need to get my ego under control, right? I need to get something a little bit easier, just simpler. I need to not worry about this. And so I go to the dealership. My lease is getting ready to expire again. And they're like, what do you want? I'm like, I don't know, right? And then once again, my ego started to like just pull. And I'm like, I want to go down. I want a cheaper car. And so I ended up seeing the X6. It was an SUV. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I could probably make that kind of sexy. And my sales guy, Travis, is like, yeah, and you can build it for super, like, inexpensively. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, the base model starts at like 60 or something like that. And so at the time, you know, going from like 130 to like 60, I was like, awesome, let's do this. And so I built it out, and the car, I think, total all in was like $68,000. And I love the car. It was a great car. It's awesome. It's fun to drive, and it still looks like good. But recently, I started looking. I got my last lease bill, and I saw that I only had like 6 months left on this lease. I'm like, my God, time really flew. And so I call my guy, Travis at BMW, and I'm like, hey, here's the deal. He's like, we'll buy you out of that and give you $10,000 like equity like right now. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, and we could get you in a new one, and your lease payment would basically like stay the same. I'm like, well, maybe I like the car, but do I want to commit to a 36-month lease and stuff like that? And so, long story short, I go down there, and once again, it hits me. I'm like, what am I doing? First off, the cars now are like $80,000 to start. It's literally like almost $20,000 more the base model in 2 years. And this was like, oh wow, that's crazy. And then I started thinking about it with interest rates and stuff like that. I'm like, I need to get my ego under control and not worry about it, right? I need to get something more affordable. I need to get something very reliable. I need to get something and possibly buy it. And so I decided, I left BMW the other day, and I'm like, you know what? I think I'm just going to get done with this lease and then probably just purchase something. I don't know. What do you guys recommend? What car? You've heard everything I've said. What's a car that's affordable? And affordable is all relative, right? Like, because cars nowadays are so crazy expensive, it's insane. What's a car? What car can you see me driving? What should I check out? What should I look at? Down below, I want to know. I need your help picking my new. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have you. I'm gonna have you help me choose my next car. All right, Subaru, my Subaru guy, minivan. You tell me. I'm definitely not a Corvette guy. I'm also not like anything like super fancy. Think affordable in terms of price point. Let's go $50,000 or below. What is the most alpha $50,000 car that I should go check out? 50,000 or low. If it's like 25, I'm cool with that. Down below, let me know. I want people to vote on cars that they agree with, cars that they don't agree with, and what car do you have if you absolutely love it. Now, you got to make sure you take your ego out of it. If you can. If you can't, no big deal. But me, I need something reliable, affordable, and kind of not like I don't feel like a dad driving. You get what I'm saying? Down below, let me know. Alpha, this is the car you should get.